was kind of hoping for something better.
So, let's just say that I'm not a big conspiracy theorist myself. I tend to be a little bit more pragmatic. But there are some things that happen in the world that bug me a little bit. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. President Obama just signed an executive order which amends the Executive Order 12425 designating Interpol as a public international organization entitled to enjoy certain privileges, exemptions, and immunities. It's a little bit disturbing because one of the things that it gives Interpol is it takes away Section 2C of the original executive order and gives them immunity under this Section 2C, which is property and assets of international organizations, whether located and by whomsoever held, shall be immune from search unless such immunity be expressly waived, and from confiscation. The archives of international organizations shall be held inviolable. So basically what we're saying is that Interpol, as an international law enforcement agency, and it's the only agency that's on this list of international organizations, is now exempt. It's above the U.S. Constitution, basically. There is no search and seizure for anything that has to do with Interpol records. There is no ability to get at information that Interpol has. And it's a little bit disturbing, on at least as far as I'm concerned, because Interpol works currently out of the Department of Justice in the United States. There's a branch there, and there are actually agents of the United States that operate under and with Interpol. And now we've set up Interpol as being entirely above the law. I mean, really? It's not unusual to give diplomatic immunity to diplomats and certain organizations. But this is the only law enforcement agency that has this kind of distinction as being completely and wholly above the law. Cannot be searched, cannot be seized. The records are inviolate. You can't get at any of the records. There is no Freedom of Information Act when it comes to Interpol. So I'd be curious to get some reactions from you folks. I know the conspiracy theorists would like to think that it's just one more step in taking over the world and Obama setting himself up as the master of the universe. And, you know, sometimes you have to stop and look at this stuff and say, what does this really mean? And so that's what I'm trying to do from a realistic and pragmatic approach is, for those of you that follow this kind of stuff, for those of you that spend any time in the law or constitutional law or spend time thinking about these kinds of things and researching them, what good reason would we have to give Interpol this kind of power and authority over the United States and its citizens? Why would we do that? What possible good reason could there be given to do such a thing? I'm going to put some links in here. I'll put a link to the executive order itself, and you can do some research. And then there's a couple of articles that I found, and it's hard sometimes to kind of weed through the rhetoric and the hype that you hear from conspiracy theorists, and this is one of the things that I've said in the past, is that if you're going to speak about something that concerns you, that's one thing, but if you're going to talk about Obama taking over the world and he's going to have the help of Bigfoot and aliens, probably people are not going to listen much farther than that. You know what I mean? So my question is, this appears to be too much power given to this international police law enforcement agency, and I don't understand why. And it concerns me a little bit when I see this kind of power given to this kind of an organization. So I'm curious what you guys think about, is this a good thing? Is this a business as usual kind of thing? Is there nothing unusual about this? What's your thoughts on this? I'd be curious to get your response. Talk to you.